Hello, and thanks for watching another episode of ARFCOM News, your source for the finest 2A propaganda brought to you by TNVC.com. Today I want to start off by telling you about President Biden's new old Ministry of Truthiness. Uncle Touchy got a truckload of criticism when the Department of Homeland Security announced their Disinformation Governance Board back in April. It probably seemed natural, what with DHS running out of actual terrorists, that instead of scaling down their operations, they should just start looking for ways of freeing the ever-loving shit out of regular Americans. But that whole pesky free speech thing got in the way, and the administration quietly but quickly disbanded the board. Problem is, according to a report published by The Intercept, DHS is still pressuring social media companies to take down content it doesn't like. Or content basically any rando government agent doesn't like, for that matter. The official line is they only intend to target certain specific categories of misinformation and disinformation. But Facebook created a convenient web portal for government agents to report content they don't like. And the very same FBI agent who pressured Facebook to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story is exposed in the Intercept article as saying media needs to be held accountable for misinformation and worried about undermining support for the government. But hey, maybe I'm tripping. I'm sure they're just trying to stop Russian trolls from destabilizing the homeland. I don't want to come off sounding like I'm against the homeland. That would be downright unpatriotic. I mean, the US government in particular has lied and manipulated the public and been caught in endless waves of scandals and assassinations and spying and heinous experiments on US citizens in the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s and early 2000s, and just because no one was ever held accountable in any meaningful way is no reason not to trust the government now. Why shouldn't some faceless, unaccountable government drone decide what is truth? Why shouldn't some misandrist shut-in with too many cats at the IRS be able to fire up the old complaint-o-vision and get one of Susan Worcestershire's minions to silence me? After all, the things I'm saying might damage your trust in the almighty state. What do you think? Confidential informants are so fun. You catch a guy breaking the law, but instead of actually charging him, you blackmail him into getting other people to commit crimes. The fact he's a criminal who obviously has a lot to lose if he doesn't do what he's told does nothing more to damage his credibility for the court than the part where he's also probably a drug addict. His integrity isn't important because he is just acting as proxy for a police officer, and everyone knows how trustworthy they are. That's how ATF agents got Navy veteran Patrick Adamayak to break the law. Adamayak, that's how I'm going to say it, sold gun parts, and the stool pigeon convinced him to broker a deal for a demilled MG42 on Gunbroker. Because it was cut into pieces, Adamayak thought it was legally demilled, but the ATF's opinion is a gun must be cut in 3 places by acetylene torch to be properly destroyed, so it's technically still a machine gun, despite being a very broken machine gun. And to be clear here, we're not talking about actual statutory definitions here. We're talking about the ATF's interpretation of whether something can be readily restored. That means some loser at the ATF scoured listings until he found one that looked legal but technically wasn't, then used that to trick a guy into breaking the law. In other words, Adamayak never had a machine gun, and he never would have possessed that broken machine gun part unless the federal government manipulated him into it. Adamayak also had a broken RPG with no fire control group and a hole in the side, but since ATF expert armorers were able to rebuild it, he got charged for that too. Prosecutors even showed photos of several unbent MAC-10 receiver flats and told the frightened folks in the jury each one of them could be turned into a machine gun. Technically true. Why the defense didn't counter with a block of aluminum that also could be turned into a machine gun? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer because my parents were married, but how the hell is a jury going to convict a man for having machine guns and grenade launchers when not a single one of them is in anything even remotely approaching a working condition? They did, though, and Mr. Adamayak's bond was denied as he awaits sentencing. If you want to help him with his appeal, you can donate to his Give, Send, Go campaign right here. Speaking of CIs, this sheriff deputy was arrested by the feds for selling guns to a CI, including one which had been used to take the life of a high school football player just a couple of weeks earlier. The U.S. attorney did not say how they think the deputy came into possession of the guns, but it is entirely possible he detained the killer for something else, seized the gun for his own use, and let the killer go. Before we get to your moment of zen, I just want to remind you to check out the Bulletproof Workshop hosted by my friend and hero, Jeff Gonzalez. Jeff is a combat veteran, respected instructor, and genuinely one of the nicest people you will ever meet. The Bulletproof Workshop is about improving human performance and features guests from all walks of life. New episodes every Tuesday. Yesterday's guest was professional ass kicker Chris Hodder. As always, we'll link in the doobly-doo, so why not check out what Jeff's up to when we're finished here. And now for your moment of zen. Hey friend, do you like pews and pew-related things? Do you want to help us keep delivering you pure, uncut American pew propaganda at the low, low price of $3.99? We literally couldn't make this show if it weren't for the generous support of TNVC.com, purveyors of the finest non-GMO night vision devices handcrafted from fine Corinthian leather in the old world style. They also have mounts, lights, training, swag, and all sorts of other Amish-made mahogany single malt gear to make you the bump of the night. And remember, if you aren't subscribed to our channel, you make puppies cry and Captain America is disappointed. I love you.